Coming up on the Paper Talk today, we're looking at some of the quotes from yesterday's defeat and what this could mean for Erik Ten Hag. Also, a little bit of an update on some of our loanees. What is going on there? Let's get into it. Jay here from Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and, well, it's sunny, but it's a bit cold and my mood is very gloomy after yesterday's Derby Day defeat. Get involved in the chat and the comments and make sure as well you are hitting like, share and subscribe. We want to get to 750,000 subscribers by the end of the season. With your support, we can get there. Loads of stories to get through, lots of them focusing on yesterday's game. As you would imagine, Manchester United not only losing the Manchester Derby, which is in itself is deflating enough, but also we're now 11 points off top 4. We've had 11 defeats this season. 11 seems to be the key number, and it's looking increasingly unlikely that we're going to be playing Champions League football next season. Now, Erik Ten Hag pointed out that we could get 5th place, that 5th place could end up being a Champions League spot. If you look at the coefficient and everything that's going on there, that could be a double-edged sword, even if we do get 5th, which isn't a given, because that might mean that City have won the Champions League or whatever. So you'd like to think United can still make top 4, but being 11 points off, it is going to be increasingly unlikely. Also, you look at some of the other comments from Erik Ten Hag yesterday, and you have to question whether he's being positive for the sake of being positive, to put on a brave front. Maybe he might be saying different things behind closed doors, or whether he's just perhaps losing the plot a little bit. He did say it was a good performance. I'd struggle to agree with that one, if I'm being brutally honest. I thought we kind of held our own in the first half, obviously that great goal and managing to keep a clean sheet. But in the second half, the wheels came off pretty drastically, and by the end, City were taking a mick a little bit. I don't think it was a particularly good performance by Manchester United. You may disagree. By all means, let us know if you do, but I just wonder whether that is the manager's trying to put a positive spin on things. One thing you can't put a positive spin on is the differing fortunes of the two clubs since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. If you look at Manchester City over the last 10, 11 years, whatever it is, and you look at Manchester United, I mean, it's night and day, it really is. I think Manchester City have won 17 trophies. We've won 4. We haven't won a Premier League. We haven't won a Champions League. They've won 6 Premier Leagues. They've also won a Champions League, of course. Yes, with 115 chances hanging over them, but they've still won lots and lots of trophies while we haven't. Also, we've not finished above them in the Premier League since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. The only times we finished second, they finished first. That is an absolutely terrible record, and it just shows you how Manchester United have been badly mismanaged. Yes, you can look at the fact City have spent money, but during that time, we've spent more, and we've wasted a lot of it as well. So Manchester United really have some fixing to do, and hopefully Ineos can get a grip with it. But there's no denying there is pressure mounting on this manager. I'm going to get to that in a minute as well. A couple of other stories regarding yesterday. Laurie Whitwell did a piece in The Athletic mentioning the fact that Johnny Evans and Marcus Rashford both came off with injuries, and it seems Marcus had a hip injury going into the game. He had a fall against Nottingham Forest. He was carrying that injury, and that may have affected his performance. Now, Marcus doesn't get a lot of sympathy from a lot of United fans. He doesn't. He gave his interview in the Players' Tribune. He scored that fantastic goal against Manchester City, but I saw him getting a lot of criticism yesterday for his second half performance and some of his missed chances, and just maybe he could have done a little bit better when him and Kyle Walker went toe to toe with each other. But it seems he was carrying a knock, and I trust Laurie Whitwell. He knows his stuff. So maybe we are being a little bit harsh on Marcus Rashford when we look at the fact that he isn't a striker. He's carrying a knock. He still scored a goal. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. A lot of people as well commenting on the Kyle Walker and Marcus Rashford incident just before Phil Foden's equaliser. Was it a foul on Marcus? But Kyle Walker seems to have sort of put his hand on him. Did he really pull him back? It seemed to me soft. I'll be honest with you. Yes, there was contact there and he did sort of put his arm on him, but I don't think he put proper pull. He seems to do it and then let go. And then Marcus went down. You may disagree, but for me, I think Marcus has got to be stronger there. Now, it might be because of this injury. He might have been affected by that. We've seen Marcus Rashford go toe-to-toe with Kyle Walker before and stand his ground and do very well. I remember seeing that in the Etihad a few years ago where he left Kyle Walker on the floor. But yesterday, he just didn't seem to quite have that edge that you need to go up to someone or go up against someone like Kyle Walker. I don't think it was a foul. Others may disagree. I don't really feel like United can sit here or stand here and go, we've been outdone by Manchester City, we're just better than us. And unfortunately, as I mentioned in those stats earlier, that's been the case for far too long now, and it's something that needs to be sorted. Roy Keane said there's huge question marks around this team and this manager, and he's right. Now, I like Erik Ten Hag, and I've said I want Erik Ten Hag to be given more time, but you can't keep losing football matches. He's lost 11 this season now. Now, his overall record is quite good. I think he's got a 61% win ratio. I think he's lost something like 28 games in total, but 11 of them have been this season in the Premier League. That is pretty horrendous. Now, whether Ineos are looking at him and thinking, look, this season we've had loads of injuries, a bit of a write-off, we're going to give you more time, I don't know. They might be, but if they're not, if they are looking at is he the right guy, then constantly losing and falling behind in the sort of top 4 race isn't going to help his cause. We've seen a few managers being linked with Manchester United. We've seen the likes of Roberto De Zerbi and Graham Potter, somewhat bizarrely, being linked with United. De Zerbi headlines were doing the rounds a few days ago, and I saw a couple this morning on Sky, but when I scratched beneath the surface, it was their sort of paper roundup, and there wasn't much there about De Zerbi coming to Manchester United. Now, I think he finished 7th with Brighton last season. They're currently sat in 9th. He's been at a few clubs, Roberto De Zerbi. He's a decent manager. Is he someone that I feel could come to Manchester United and do a job here? Not really, if I'm being brutally honest. I've not seen enough of him to think, yeah, he's the man to take over at Manchester United. Personally, I'd rather we stuck with Ten Hag rather than bringing in Roberto De Zerbi or even Graham Potter. There's been also talk of Thomas Tuchel. Again, he's won more than De Zerbi has, and he's got a little bit more pedigree, but he seems to have a fallout with everyone, and he would definitely be a short-term option. Doesn't tend to stay at clubs, well, certainly not recently anyway, for too long. Bayern Munich's been a bit of a disaster for him this season, and also at Chelsea ended up falling out with the owner there and getting sacked. So I'm not sure Thomas Tuchel, I'm not sure about Roberto De Zerbi, and I'm not too sure about Graham Potter either. Let me know if you have a different opinion, or if you think there's another manager, or if you believe we should stick with Erik Ten Hag, because listen, things aren't going too well, but I still feel that he deserves a chance under Ineos, under this new regime, and under this new sort of ownership structure we've got, managerial structure we've got, that seems to be a little bit more modern and forward thinking than the absolute chaos we've seen under the Glazer family, which hasn't helped. Now, one thing that also hasn't helped Erik Ten Hag is the lack of left backs. We saw Victor Lindelof starting again against Manchester City left back yesterday, and he struggled. Now, he struggled at Old Trafford earlier on in the season when he started at left back against Manchester City, and it amazes me we're in a position where we're having to start him again against a team that he's already struggled with. Now, why are we doing that? Well, injuries is the obvious reason. We've got no Luke Shaw, we've got no Tyrell Malacia. But the thing that baffles me, and this is something where Erik Ten Hag has got to take a look at himself as well, is why we let Sergio Reguilon go back to Spurs when we loaned him in. He did a decent job here at United when he came in, the left back. Wasn't unbelievable, but he was decent. Anyway, we let him go back to Spurs. We've also let Alvaro Fernandez go out on loan twice already this season. I think he's been at Granada and at Benfica as well. Plus Brandon Williams, I think he's gone to Ipswich. You've got all these players that you've either returned or let go out on loan, when you've got 2 left backs, one who's been injured practically all season and another one who's missed half the games over the last 4 or 5 years. So you know he's got injury issues, and it leaves you in a position where you're having to play a defender, a centre-back, who can't really play at left back. I mean, that to me is baffling. I don't understand where the thinking has come from Manchester United. Now, you might look at it and go, well, we've got issues around FFP, we've got issues around wages, whatever. Surely we can afford to keep a left back here. Surely we can afford to keep someone like Brandon Williams, or to keep someone like Alvaro Fernandez, or to keep Sergio Reguilon, not send him back out or back to his other club. It makes no sense to me whatsoever that we've been left in a position where we've already got issues at the in defence, and we're making it life harder for ourselves by having to play another player out of position. And we know Sofian Amrabat is not the answer. We know he can't play at left back. So why we put ourselves in the position is just baffling to me. Makes no sense. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments, because that's one area that we've struggled with, and I think that's one area where I'm not going to make any excuses whatsoever for Erik Ten Hag. He's been a little bit short-sighted when it comes to the left-back position. Another couple of stories to get through. Hannibal Mejbri. He's been out on loan, obviously, at Sevilla. Hasn't been getting a lot of game time. Had this sort of fallout with the manager, Flores, I think it is. However, he did get 50 minutes in the recent 3-2 win over Real Sociedad. It looks like he might have been sort of settling down a little bit in Spain. Don't know what's going to happen there. There was talk of him going there permanently. That seems to have been put to bed with the fact that he wasn't even getting in the team and he'd had a fault with the manager. However, now things have settled down a little bit. We might see that end up being a more long-term option. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you think about Hannibal Mejbri. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Do you think he's someone that could come back to Manchester United? We also saw recently over the weekend Mason Greenwood scoring for Getafe again. The Mason Greenwood rumours never go away, do they? What's going to happen with him? Is he going to come back to United? Is he going to stay at Getafe? Is he going to go to another club? We just don't know at the minute. He's another player that's gone out on loan for different reasons. Hannibal Mejbri, though, he might not be coming back to Manchester United. I'm going to leave it there. We've got more videos coming up later on today. We're going to have the Paddock podcast this afternoon, so make sure you join us for that. We've also got on the channel the reaction to yesterday's Derby Day defeat. If you want to see the reaction from the likes of Stephen Howson, myself and Joe Smith, hit that subscribe button. I've been Jay Motty. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.